8 years old, or 10, or 13, or whenever it was for you, something happened. Somebody said something, or didn't say something. And part of you decided what that meant. It wasn't consciously. You weren't sitting there constructing a worldview. You were just a kid trying to make sense of what was in front of you. The conclusion you drew, that's still running. Welcome to Daily Power Boost. I'm Shawn Michael. This isn't a podcast about pushing harder or fixing yourself. It's a space to see clearly how your experience is actually being created. Each episode offers a simple shift in understanding. Not a tactic, not a hustle. A clearer view of thought, identity, and the patterns you've been living inside. Because when misunderstanding drops, relief rises. Energy returns. You move forward with calm, sovereign clarity. This is your Daily Power Boost. Welcome back to Daily Power Boost. Yesterday, we talked about the belief gap, the distance between knowing what to do and actually doing it. Today, I want to go further back. Because before you can close the gap, it helps to understand where the belief came from in the first place. And most people have never done that. Well, not really anyway. They've identified the belief. Maybe they even named it in a journal or a coaching session. I don't believe I'm worthy of success. I think I have to earn love. Part of me believes I'll fail eventually no matter what. Naming it is not the same as tracing it. Tracing it's where the real shift begins. I want to tell you something I traced back not long ago. For most of my life, I carried a quiet belief that my contribution had to be extraordinary to matter. Not good, not solid, extraordinary. And for a long time, I thought it was ambition, drive, high standards, the thing that would eventually make a difference. Underneath, that ambition was something else. It was a kid who learned early that ordinary wasn't quite enough. It wasn't through cruelty or anything dramatic, just in the accumulated message of a season of life that taught me approval had conditions. So I built a version of myself around exceptional output. It felt like the safest way to belong. This belief wasn't a character flaw. It was just a survival strategy that made complete sense at the time. The problem is that I carried it into rooms where it no longer applied, into relationships where it created distance instead of connection, to work where it made rest feel dangerous and good enough felt like giving up. The belief had outlived the environment that created it. And until I traced it back to where it started, I couldn't see it clearly enough to question it. Here's what happens when a belief goes unexamined. It doesn't stay still. It organizes your life around itself. It shapes what opportunities you pursue and which ones you talk yourself out of. It determines who you let close, how close you let them get. It even decides what you think you deserve and what feels like too much to ask for. It's been there so long, it doesn't even feel like a belief anymore. It feels like reality. That's the danger of an origin belief. It's not that it's loud, it's invisible. Running so deep, it sounds like your own voice. Beliefs formed early have staying power for a specific reason. The younger you are, the less context you had to interpret the experience. A child doesn't have the emotional vocabulary to say, this person is struggling and projecting that onto me, or this environment is dysfunctional and I shouldn't take it as a reflection of my worth. The child just absorbs, making the most reasonable conclusion available to them at the time, which means the belief wasn't really about you. It was about what you had access to understand in the moment. That realization changes something. not everything, but something. Because it moves the belief from identity to context, from this is who I am to this is what I concluded, giving what I knew back then. Conclusions, they can be updated. Identity feels permanent. This isn't about blame for the people who were around when the belief formed, for yourself for carrying this for so long. Most of the people who shaped your early beliefs were carrying their own unexamined ones. They just passed down what they never had the chance to question. It's about clarity, specific, precise clarity of seeing a belief in its original context, recognizing that context is gone, even though the belief stayed. Here's what I want you to sit with today. Think of one belief that's been limiting you, the kind that shows up reliably in different situations, different relationships, different years. And ask yourself, how old was I when I first decided this was true? You might not get a precise memory, and that's okay. Just look for the feeling of it, the age of it. Then ask, what was happening around me that made this conclusion make sense? You're not looking to relitigate it or assign blame. You just want to see it in context. Because a belief seen in its original context loses some of its authority over the present. It was formed by someone younger with less information in an absolutely different room. And you're not that person anymore. You don't have to keep living from those conclusions. If you've been sitting with a belief that feels too old and too deep to shift on your own, that's work worth doing with support. Book your clarity call. We'll trace it, contextualize it, and find out what it's been costing you, and what becomes possible when it loosens its grip. You'll find a link in the show notes. You didn't choose the beliefs that shaped you, but you've been living them like they're facts. They're not facts. They never were. They were just conclusions drawn by someone younger doing the best with what they had. Conclusions drawn in the past don't have to govern your present, not once you see them clearly. Next time, the voice that's been narrating all of this, the one that sounds the most like you, isn't always the most honest one in the room. With strength and heart, I'm Shawn Michael. Stay close. Thanks for tuning in to Daily Power Boost. Ignite your potential. Remember, transformation starts with action. So take today's insight, make it your own, and awaken your inner potential. Because remember, greatness begins within. Catch you tomorrow for your next Power Boost.